Welcome back. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and this is part 6 of 6 of the Homeschooling Made Easy, Deep, and Fun series. In this video, we are going to be talking about learning they like. I know they don't always act like they like it, right? And here we are sweating our whole lives away, trying to help them get that love of learning. We want to make sure that we nail it. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to help them take ownership of their own education, how to help them set goals that they actually follow through with, and then we're going to talk about some fun things that you can do to help get them engaged in education and looking forward to the next day. As you noticed from one of my previous videos, I am a big fan of keeping learning journals, right? Writing down what we've learned that day in a particular subject. And sometimes I even wrote learning journals for my children. So when they were teeny tiny and they couldn't write, then I would record what we did that day. And then once they had more of an ability to articulate what we did that day, I would start typing or writing their narrations. And then soon we started having them write or copy. They would do copy work. I would write down what they said and then they would copy it out so that they could learn to write. And soon they were writing their own and they had their own learning journals. So they have this collection of learning journals from all of the years of their education. And it's fun for them to go back and look at these learning journals. Part of these learning journals are not actual just booklets of paper, but they are other things. Things like lap books and other unit studies that we did that were project-based. So we're going to take some time to talk about project-based learning. But first, I need to talk about one more booklet of paper that is really important at helping them take ownership of their education and set good goals. This is a mentoring journal. So years ago when I was doing treatment foster care, I realized that the children coming to my home, they were all between the ages of 12 and 18, they needed to take more ownership of their own education. And so we started having different meetings. We have family meetings, couples meetings, but we wanted to have one-on-one meetings with them as well. And so we started having mentor journals with our foster children. Well, when our own children saw us having these special meetings with the foster children, they wanted to have special meetings too. So we started having special meetings with our children. And then we created booklets that would also factor in their homeschool needs as well. So these books are great for homeschoolers, but they can actually be used for anyone, any motivated parent that wants to talk about the different areas of focus in a child's life. This is going to help the child know that the parent takes a vested interest in what the child is doing and thinking and learning, but also helps the child see that they are actually accomplishing their goals. So let's take a brief look at what's in the book. So we've got a calendar at the top. We've got some lines for who's leading the meeting. Both parents are there usually when we do these meetings. They can schedule things that they want to do in their school day that week or certain activities that they have planned, like a soccer practice or a piano lesson. They can talk about their religious goals, their social and emotional goals, their behaviors, their educational goals. They can even make goals to have dates with mom and dad, to do fun goals or fun activities for the week. We wanted them to look forward to these meetings, and I'll tell you what they did. Every one of my children loved their mentor meetings. In fact, they didn't want any of their siblings to interfere with their special time with mom and dad. And what they would do is I would do mom school with them in the morning time, the morning hours. And then after lunch, or if they were a little older, it would even be before lunchtime, they would pull out their book and they would say, oh yeah, what was I planning to do today? Oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to spend some time reading that book. Or I told myself I was going to do 4 math lessons today. I better do 4 math lessons. So they would pull this out and they would draw their ideas for what to do for their independent study time from this. Now you're thinking, independent study time? You mean they would study on their own? Yes. So we were a self-governed family, which means that I taught them the skills and principles of self-government, which means I also had to teach them time management. One of the biggest things I did to teach them time management was I gave them independent study time every day. And they would tell me what they were going to work on during their independent study time. And then after the independent study time, they would tell me what they did that day. Even if they didn't accomplish what they said originally they were going to accomplish, they had a moment where they had to return and report. And then each week on Sunday evenings, they would report again, and we would write down in their learning journal how they did on all of their goals. As they got older, we started setting commitments. Sometimes these commitments had like consequences or rewards attached to them, as opposed to just goals, which might not always get accomplished, but are good practices for starting to set commitments. So having mentor meetings is huge. And if you want to learn how to have a great mentor meeting, you can get these books at teachingselfgovernment.com. I also teach all about the meetings with my parenting course. So the TSG parenting course, which is at teachingselfgovernment.com, is going to be a really great reference to you. All right, let's talk about project-based learning. Project-based learning is so motivating when someone knows there's a project that's coming that they need to work on. So when they say, okay, I want to memorize this poem because I'm going to share it at the poetry night with all of my friends, or I want to memorize this piece of music because I'm going to share it at this recital or this family music night or talent show night, right? Or I want to write a play because I'm going to do a puppet play for my entire family. Those are all projects that would be incorporated into project-based learning. So when a person reads a book and then does a project because of that book, that's project-based learning. There was a series of books that we loved called Mathematicians Are People Too. It was a series of 2 books, books 1 and 2. And in this book, or these books rather, you would read about the life or one of the experiences, just one, not a whole life story, but one experience of one great mathematician. Maybe it was Euclid or Archimedes or something, and you would read about one experience that happened, like such as how did Archimedes figure out how to weigh something in water? Well, it was the water displacement method. How did he figure this out? By getting in the baths when he was in Greece. So amazing, right? A lot of people don't know that him taking a bath when he really needed one is what actually solved his problem. So anyway, then we might play with water displacement. Okay, so that we can learn how to weigh things in the water or measure amounts in the water because of water displacement. You can measure volume, all those kinds of things. This was something that we did because of Mathematicians Are People Too. Those types of things, reading a book and then doing a project because of it, like reading Trumpet of the Swan and then going to a place where you visit swans somewhere on a lake because they've traveled in at that particular time of year. Well, that's project-based learning. You're looking forward to going see the swans, so you read something about the swans and you get ready. Or I'm going to go visit the airport and watch airplanes fly by, so I'm going to study the different types of airplanes so that then when they fly by, I'll be able to know exactly what kind just flew over the top of me. My oldest son, when he was just a young one, just little, he was infatuated by airplanes. And so I just taught him all the different types of airplanes. We got a little airplane book out of the junior section of the library. We learned all the different airplanes. He memorized them. He loved them. Their wheels, their wing design, their everything. So he knew exactly what type of jet was what. And then we went out to the airport in a little park where you could sit under the runway as they would come down. And he was so excited because he could tell exactly what type of airplane was coming down. He was like 4 or 5 years old at this time. He absolutely loved it. So that's just a small project that we worked on for a couple of days and then went out to the airport, which was amazing. But there are other more long-term project-based learning goals. For instance, I used to teach Shakespeare in my homeschool community, and we would try to encourage the children to listen to, watch, or read as many Shakespeare plays as possible. And there were different advancements like ranks in royalty that they could achieve as they accomplished more and more of that goal. And then at the end of that semester, when we've done one study play and they've done a certain amount of plays that they have studied and learned and gotten into the language on, then the second semester they could be cast in the play, right? And after they did the play and they worked so hard on the play, then they could take the money earned from the play and go to a Shakespearean theater, a real one, fun outdoors and spend a couple of days there with their friends seeing plays. So we had a big excursion planned. This was all part of project-based learning. So it was one project building on another project, building on another project. Project-based learning is very motivating. So because project-based learning is so motivating, I spend a lot of time doing unit studies. Don't be afraid of unit studies. They don't necessarily follow curriculums. So one day you might be studying electricity and making circuits and plugging in potatoes and all kinds of stuff. And then like a few days later, you might be studying how seeds grow or something like that. These two things do not correlate with each other at all, and that's fine. They're just two different units of study, and that's okay. So sometimes it's really nice to just have a new thing come into the mix. So I would do unit studies. I would just say, okay, what seems fun now? Let's go to the library and grab something new that we haven't done yet, and we would turn that into a unit study. Now also, you can make your units longer. You could have periods of history that's a unit. You could have a certain war that's a unit. You can have, a punctuation unit or something like that, or you can do Mad Libs every day for a whole month so that you get all the parts of speech, and that's a unit, Those types of things are all projects that would be considered project-based learning, but also unit studies. So helping the children know that you might study something by unit as opposed to by just topic and going in the order of a book can also be helpful for them to recognize that things might be changed up each day. All right, so I want to share with you one of our favorite ways to record our unit studies. Now, we've done things like story quilts or unit study quilts where you take one topic and you put different sections of it, like a narration and a picture and a study, and then maybe some other like famous figure associated with the study, and there's like 4 quadrants on a cardstock, and we laminate it or stick it in a page protector. And so we make quilts and stuff like that with studies. But I have to say, our favorite thing to do is to put our narrations and our studies into something that we call a lap book. And I want to show you some of our lap books. Now, I did not go and pick like the fanciest ones. I just went down there, I grabbed some, and they look real. These are real old lap books from when my kids were little and a little bit older, because they didn't usually make lap books once they hit, about scholar age. Now they're going to be doing papers and other projects, maybe boards to show at a science fair or something like that. But these lap books really are treasures to them. We come back to them again and again, and I want to show you why. Okay, so let's take a look here at the lap books. I've got 5 different ones, and you can see they're all pretty different. We've got one that says confidential, one that says the American Revolution, one that is like, what is that? Stamps everywhere. One that is like animals, one that is this cover, whatever happened to justice. Okay, so, and I just brought this one. This one's kind of a basic one, not as fun of a fold out to look at, but just to see, okay, so we can take some time and make a cover, and just make it really basic like that. Or one thing that the kids did a lot was they would print things like, oh, I want this color picture of this, or I want to print this out of this book. Like, look, that's a whole page out of a book, and it's all shrunk down because they really liked that page out of the book. So anyway, they printed it, and then they, would stick it on here with glue stick, and then what we would do is we would put clear contact paper over everything. I used clear contact paper like nobody's business. I should have had stock in clear contact paper. So you see, this is animals, okay? And so she wanted to do a lap book all about animals. And you can see some pages got more on them than others. That doesn't mean we never studied them, but she might not have cut anything out. So we've got fish here, which didn't get it. She's got the word fish that she wrote, but then there's no pictures of fish that she put. I don't know why. Maybe she lost interest that day. We probably did study it, though. This was a long time ago. Hard to know. She's in her 20s now. Okay, and then we've got birds. Now, what you can do is you can see this is a regular file folder, okay? And then, oops. And then as you open it, you can see these cardstock pages that we've hooked in. So look at reptiles. She went crazy on reptiles. She's got so many different kinds of reptiles. And arachers. That's arachnids or something. Or I don't even. arachers. Anyway, so she's got these ones with exoskeletons, okay? Crustaceans, which she spelled very creatively there, and she's only got potato bugs, because that, I guess, was all she cared about there. And these are others, just random others, and you can see, oh, she's got a little game there that we did. That's the mammals section, which is kind of fun. And then there's amphibians, which doesn't have a ton. Insects, which has this whole thing on bees and stuff that she made. It's like a little book about bees. And look, here's a narration that I wrote down for her, and then she drew the picture, and then she made some other things that she wanted. She was little when she did this. I mean, probably 5 or 6 years old, you know, or something. Then there's your others. So, and then here's mammals. So we have these stickers, and the stickers are on the outside, and then you match the different kind of mammal with the stickers that are there, I guess. That's my guess. She probably just made this little game. Oh, and look, she's even got herself, I'm a child of God. I'm trying to get these out. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so there's the little ones. There's a squirrel, and it matches a squirrel, or a kind of a squirrel. I don't know, or something, and it matches. So the different types of mammals and how they match, and that all made sense to her, and that's how she wanted it. So this was a very creative, very personalized lap book on her study of mammals. So very basic. This one here. So then let's look at this one. Little Porter. He just put stamps all over it. Well, and there's nothing on the back. Anyway, so this was his creation lap book. So we studied the creation. And so see, there's light and dark on day 1. So we've got day 1, light, dark. Day 2, water and clouds. So here's light and dark and things about the galaxy and stuff. And then here's stuff about water. Look at these little water drops and H2O in the water. And he's got a whole little booklet here of clouds, that he studied the different kinds of clouds, and he put them on there. And there's tornadoes and lightning and rain. What do we got here? Water is cool. It's a gas, a liquid, or a solid. So we're doing some chemistry there now with his study of water. So we spent, you know, some time there, a whole day or so, maybe even a couple of days. Probably this was one day. These weather things were one day, and then clouds was probably its own day, would be my guess. We usually added like 1 to 2 things per day into a lap book. So that tells you how long it takes to put that together. And so now we've got day 3, the land and the plants. Okay, and so this is interesting. We've got this this earth that opens up, and it has the different layers of the earth in it. And that was very crudely drawn. But anyway, such as it is. We've got a little thing here about the horizon and what it means to, what the horizon means and what it looks like when something goes over the horizon, the equator, the rotation of the earth. We've got flowers make seeds and stuff, and you know how flowers grow and that kind of stuff. And I would have written down his words. And then we've got this little dirt thing. So this is different dirts that were in our area. Now we don't know all the dirts, but he wanted to write where he found them. So this was at Middle Canyon, our church, Settlement Reservoir, our neighborhood, and Oak Hill School. So that's where we found those different dirts. And so dirt is everywhere, and that's his design. Now, and then this is a puzzle about the plates, like the tectonic plates of the earth. So we discussed plates and earthquakes and stuff like that. But this is our favorite part of the whole lap book of his, and I gotta share it with you. These are his drawings of volcanoes. We studied volcanoes, and this was his narration. Now you gotta hear this. Volcanoes are cool. They explode. They burst stuff down. They melt rocks, and they can maybe make camping fires burst like a volcano can. Then the volcano can melt the rocks and surround the camping fire. People try to hide when the volcano makes the camping fire burst into a volcano. The people go into their trailers sometimes, but the volcano will burn it up. They go up into the mountains. The people can hide in people's yards. They can hide anywhere. They can hide in boxes or bathtubs. Volcanoes can kill people. They can burst down stuff like trees and houses, and they can burst really high and make sparks. The people run away maybe if they are quick enough. Anyway, today for school we made a volcano, and he tells about what we did to make a volcano. But every time we read that first paragraph of his volcano thing, we just all go into hysterics because we're like, this is like, 5 or 6 year old Porter and what he was thinking about volcanoes. So here we've got day 4, the solar system, stars and things. This is all about the moon, and there's a narration about the moon there, the father of astronomy in there. So anyway, and then we've got day 5, the birds and the fish, and so we've got all the different fishies that he studied and the different birds that he studied that are in his book and the things he wrote about the birds. You can see his handwriting there, and he drew a penguin. So anyway, and then there's the people. Okay. Oh, and here's animals and people. So then here's his little book of animals that he did, and then his book about people, about skeletons and veins and all the things that he cared about associated with people. And then we've got the back page, which was supposed to be the day of rest, but it looks like he didn't make it that far. Or at least he just rested from doing anything on the lap book. So anyway, gives you an idea. This one I want to show you just really fast. This is a fancier one that London did about the American Revolution. And this one has a lot of these things, like what's a monarchy versus a republic, facts about the Liberty Bell, a Whig versus a Tory, different soldiers in the Revolution, different things about tea and coffee, and here's a dock pocket that holds like common sense and the Declaration of Independence and stuff. So she's got all the little documents there, the Constitution, Day of Fasting, the Bill of Rights, all these little documents that fold out on here that are in her little dock pocket. She's got George versus George, and she's got all these fold outs. So here's some key players in the time of the Revolution. She's got a story about Paul Revere. She was supposed to write here, but she didn't. But at least she's got her little pop-up there, In the Hand of God, and the Continental Congress stuff. And then you see here's a big timeline of everything with, well, I don't want to roll it out forever, it's just so big, but you can see this timeline of everything that she studied in the war and in that time. And then she's got women of the war, and then this whole thing here is the acts, the British acts and stuff, and there's little pie pieces in there that she can pull out and look at those as well. So now this was a template. You can tell I printed a lot of these things for the kids, and this was a template that I found at Homeschool in the Woods. And then we cut a Betsy Ross star there, how she cut her 5-pointed star. So anyway, this was something that took a long time to make. I mean, they took months and months putting that together and studying the American Revolution for a unit study. This is my very favorite one I think that we ever did, and I think it's because it's personal. There's pictures here of people that we know, of my grandpa in World War II and his stuff for his Bronze Star, and him in things in the battle. But this is a World War II one. You can see there's their victory book where they wrote things down. You see she's got what she remembers about her World War II studies. So we've got, again, this fold out of, now do you see what we have here? We have 2 file folders basically that have been joined together right here. They've been taped together at the binding. So that's important. And then there's a timeline that folds out. There's another timeline. Here's a big red cross for the Red Cross, and it tells different things that fold out for the Red Cross. And there's little band-aids, of course, because why not? Food storage, what a prisoner of war might be getting sent from the Red Cross. We've got, some ads from the time. And then you can see, stuff about victory gardens and what's a victory garden and pictures of those things and some, other things from the time of what people were making and doing, and ration cards and stuff. And you can see even wow, it's hard to show all of this, but you can see ration cards right here. So she's got copies of a ration card that's done in color, so she's got that for her reference. And then you can see here's like some nose art for airplanes. Who said that famous quote? And you open it up and like, oh, there's Hitler, his famous quote. Here's the 4 freedoms that were from FDR in his speech about the 4 freedoms. So anyway, and then there's this information here on this inside flap about vocabulary words that they learned during that study of World War II. And there's a little book about veterans of the different armed forces in these things here. We've got flip-ups of the different boats and stuff that might be of interest, and then what the different planes looked like in the war. And then there's where the war was, the different theaters, and where that was, the compass rose, so they could have that. And so more about the theaters. Here's a whole fold out about D-Day, what happened on D-Day, and military time there. And then we've got stuff about Japan. And then this right here is a Holocaust book, and it's all about stuff with the Holocaust and all of the prisoners and stuff there, which is pretty heart-melting, actually. So anyway, this is our World War II lap book, and something that, again, we spent a long time putting together. There are so many things, as you see, that I could show you. Hopefully it's given you ideas of things that you can do with your family to do project-based learning, to make learning fun for them. So I love making curriculum. I love making classes and outlines for classes. It's a lot of fun for me. I know that that's not fun for everybody, and maybe at some point I will put together a section of video where I talk about how to make classes if you want to present them in your co-op or in your community, what makes a really powerful class. I've actually given you just about all the key components right now. It would just be the organization that I would need to put together. So leave me a comment if that's something you want, and I'll try to put together an additional video for that for you. This series has been fun. It's fun for me to think of a lot of homeschool parents getting all of the information that I already know so that you don't have to try to figure it all out for yourself. If there's one thing I've noticed, it's if a homeschooler has vision, they can go the distance longer. If they feel like they know what they're doing, if they can trust in the process, if they have a plan, then they can actually do it longer. There are many people who attempt homeschooling and then they give up because they feel like they're not getting results. But as you can see, results are possible to track, and learning will happen no matter what, just based on the development of the child. There are so many adult skills you can teach your child. You can bond with your child. If there's one thing that I would tell you at the end of all of this, it's that the relationship you have with your child is going to teach them more than anything else. That's where we began, isn't it? That environment of learning in the first segment, the first part of this, and how important that environment is and that relationship in the environment. Well, I want to end there too, because your relationship is what they will remember about the homeschool. That will be what determines if you are a success or a failure, your relationship, which means make a plan and then focus on the relationship, okay? Make a plan, and if it doesn't work out perfect, always start tomorrow. You don't have to be perfect every day. If there's one thing that I've learned about homeschooling, it's that only about 1 in 10 days goes perfect, meaning you checked everything off the list. But your children are getting you. They're getting time with you, and you need to be delivering that more than anything else. So have fun, do the projects, read the stories, discuss the stories, learn how to communicate with each other, create an environment where you can be one as a family so that your children have that security and protection for their life to come. There are so many sources right now that are trying to pull families apart. And because you are choosing to homeschool or thinking about homeschool, you are giving your family an edge, an extra piece of hope, because they will hopefully find that the family is actually the safest, best place on earth. They will find that that is the place they want to duplicate everywhere if you do your job correctly. And if we create good families that then turn out youth who want to create good families everywhere, we truly can change the world, starting in our own homes. Now, there's one thing you need in all of this, and I would like to give you as a gift because you stayed all the way to the end of this training, and that is my Calm Parenting Toolkit. I I have a calm parenting toolkit that I would like to give you for free. If you click on the link in the description below this video that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit, then you will get my 10-lesson calm parenting toolkit for free, and hopefully have a little bit of extra help as you dive into those sometimes crazy homeschool days that really will change everyone's heart and lives forever.